Hi, everybody. Good morning or afternoon. Hi, everybody. I'm Jess, and this is Michelle from Vida Vegan Con, and we're joined today by a very special guest who joined us just a few months ago, and she motivated us so much that we're here doing a whole Vida Vegan Con speaker series. So we're here today with the creator and content creator and host and star and everything great of Eco Vegan Gal, a huge online resource for folks going into veganism. Whitney Lauritsen. Hi, Whitney. Hi,
Hi.
Whitney. So we wanted to, just welcome you back.
Thank
Happy,
you. Thanks for
well,
having me again.
it's almost spring. Happy spring. It feels like spring here. I'm sure it feels like spring down where you are. What have you got cooking up lately? What are your spring plans?
It's funny, spring, it doesn't feel like spring here quite yet. Yeah, I don't know why. I guess it just doesn't, LA, the seasons don't change that much here. So it just like one season bleeds into another. And I'm from Massachusetts where it really did feel like spring. And right now it doesn't feel like spring to them at all because they're buried under snow. So I'm not quite in the spring mode yet, but I've noticed around the first couple, like after we get past the first couple weeks of March, then it is actually spring, and then it suddenly feels like it. Like the weather starts to change and content starts to change too. So it still feels like winter to me.
Do you still get
But in terms
productive
of
push?
what's that?
Do you have that productive push yet, or the build up to spring?
I don't for me with spring, I don't do a lot of seasonal content around spring per se. I'm not one of those content creators who plans out my editorial calendar too far in advance. It's just like every day is a whole new day, and we're always working on different projects with everything. So one big thing I'm gearing up for is the Natural Products Expo, which is the biggest event of the year for me and for many people in the natural products industry. And I do a lot at Expo, more and more every year. So this year I'm part of a weblog team. It's actually my second year at Expo West, and then I did it at Expo East too. So it's my third time being part of this team, and it's really cool. There's a group, probably about 10 of us, and we're connected to, the Expo and New Hope, who runs the Expo, and it's our jobs to go around and report on the latest and greatest products. And I think I'm the only vegan, so I tend to represent all the vegan stuff, which is really cool.
Can you
And
tell us, Winnie, can you tell us about some of your highlights from last year? What are they going to top this year?
last year I don't remember being that exciting in terms of product launches. This year, maybe it's just because I'm in it right now, but there's a lot of really cool things coming up. I mean, first of all, we all know like vegan cheese is just exploding, and so Miyoko's Kitchen is going to be there, which I think is really cool. Uh, Daya's coming out with their new cheesecake. There's another company that starts with a V that it's called, I feel like it's Vio Life or something like that. I'm
Oh, yeah, yeah, out of Europe, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, and then there's Field Roast, their cheese, Follow Your Heart's cheese. Like there's at least 5 different really exciting cheeses at Expo, and I've tried Miyoko's and I've tried Field Roast, however you pronounce it, That's one thing I'm looking forward to finding out at the Expo, is how to actually pronounce that cheese correctly.
I
But
think you got it right with Chow.
Chow?
It's sort of from around these parts up in Seattle, so I've heard Chow.
Yeah, well, they should have spelt it like chow, the Italian word, to make it less confusing. It's like Daya, like nobody's quite sure. So that, for me going to Expo is figuring stuff out and getting like that's where I learned that stevia is actually pronounced stevia. So I had to
Whoa,
change the way
mind
that I
blown.
said it after Expo.
Well, what's your game plan going into Expo West this year? How do you, from your obligations to what you're doing, how are you going in there?
Well, I actually am wrapping up today a 40 to 50 page ebook that I wrote about Expo called The Insider's Guide to Natural Products Expo. So I've
Look at
spent the
you.
past like three-ish weeks working on this ebook, and I wanted to launch it on Friday, but it was so much bigger than I thought. Like I thought it was just going to be like this short PDF, but I actually got 13 different contributors and have
Wow.
more tips than I know what to do with, which is awesome because this is my 6th Expo West, and I've been to Expo East, I think 2 or 3 times now. So it's like my 8th or 9th Expo, and I'm super passionate about it. And anybody watching who can make it to Expo West or Expo East, I really recommend it. But that's why I wrote this ebook, because a lot of people just don't get it, or a lot of people go to Expo and they don't really know how to make the most of it or what to do, and there's just so much. There's 40 pages worth of tips, so, and a lot of people don't know any of this stuff, so I'm really, really excited to get this guide out. And it's just, I'm one of those people that is super prepared when it comes to Expo because it's such a huge opportunity. So I've gone through hundreds and hundreds of products, and I have a spreadsheet, and I'm like one of those, like, I'm going to make the most out of this one-time event in the year. And you could ask me anything Expo related, and I could probably have an answer for you.
Well, I want folks to certainly get your ebook on this, but can you give us this little spoiler of 1 or 2 tips that folks should have going into Expo West?
Yeah. Well, first of all, something that people ask me on a regular basis is what days they should go. And I really recommend going all 4 days. A lot of people associate Expo with 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But Thursday is now like a huge day to go. In the past, it was kind of like a soft launch, and it wasn't considered an official day. But now, this year, for the first time, it's becoming like a huge day. And that's because they have 2 different opportunities to look at exhibitors. For a while on Thursdays, they've had this really cool thing called the Fresh Ideas Organic Marketplace, and a lot of people didn't know about it. It's still pretty crowded, but nowhere near as crowded as the main floor is. The main floor this year is going to have up to 70,000 attendees. Last year they had 67,000, so I'm sure it's going to be higher this year. And the Organic Marketplace, I would say, probably has an attendance rate of like a few thousand or something, so it's significantly smaller, and there's about, I want to say, between 100 to 200 vendors in there that might not even be on the main show floor. So you can go in there and meet all these brands that are smaller because they can't afford to go into the main floor, which is super expensive. So you can just take your time. It's more relaxed. It's less crowded. There's all sorts of like interesting stuff happening in there that most people miss. And also on Thursdays, the brand new thing for 2015 is now they have exhibits outside of the main convention center in one of the hotels, and there's 150 exhibitors there that won't be in the main floor, but those exhibitors will be there for Friday and Saturday as well, so you don't have to go on Thursday. But that's what people ask me all the time. Do I need to go all 4 days? It's not a matter of need, it's a matter of how much do you want to make out of it. And for me, like, I could be there for a whole week and probably feel like I don't get quite enough. So I go like every minute of the expo, and I'm just networking and trying products and covering it, and I go all out. Because it really is like an extraordinary opportunity to meet other people, but the brands mainly. If anybody's looking for sponsorship, or they want to ask brands really specific questions, they want to partner in some way, whatever it may be, Expo is the best event for that. And you don't get those opportunities anywhere else. So for any of the other bloggers, content creators, YouTubers out there, I say just wipe out your 4 days there, go to Expo, and just have it like a ball, because it's awesome. And the things that I'm including in the ebook are things like how to talk to exhibitors, how to network right, you know, where to go, what are you missing out typically on, like all of those different little nuances, like how to eat, how to make sure you don't get sick, like all of those things. And it's been really cool to have these other contributors, because some of them have been going longer than I have, so they have like really great tips from like 10 years of going to Expo.
Wow. Well, what do you think? What are some of the really fun things that exhibitors are doing at their booth? You know, besides, of course, sampling and debuting these
just
products.
standing at a table.
What's been changing in recent years that catches your attention?
Well, I'm very what's the word I want to look for? Particular. So I notice all sorts of little things, and the book also has tips for exhibitors because I feel like so many exhibitors actually don't quite make the most out of it. And I've been talking with one brand just as friends and encouraging them like all these different ideas and things like having contests, having they have these like happy hours sometimes where sometimes they'll actually serve alcohol, but sometimes it'll just be like music party and like people hanging out in the booth, and those are always really cool. Whatever an exhibitor can do to bring people in is important because I think there are there's over 1,000 exhibitors there, which to me doesn't sound that much, just like thinking, but then when you see them on the show floor, like it's a lot. And there are probably, I would say, over 200 brands that have vegan products. They might not be entirely vegan, but they have vegan products, and that's a lot. It's a lot of brands, and when you don't have that much time relatively and you want to go to each of them, it's like you got to pick and choose. So I always think it's cool when brands have like something gimmicky, they have like good music, they have really good samples, they have like cool graphics, they have awesome employees working there like encouraging you in a good way. There are all these little things, and I think it's just the overall enthusiasm that makes Expo what it is. But some brands you go to, and there are some beloved vegan brands, I've been to their booths and had bad experiences, and it made me not want to buy their products anymore because their owners were rude or not enthusiastic, or they were too busy to talk. There's all these mistakes that people make that can ruin your entire impression of a brand. So it's a make it or break it event, honestly.
Well, we're really excited about the ebook.
Are you guys going?
No, every year we get so busy and we're like, no, next year we're gonna do it. And so I'm here to say next year. Yeah. Okay. We have some insiders going. I mean, of course you. Yeah. We'll be watching. We have some insiders on both sides of the table. So funny enough, we were just putting together our own like kind of 2 pages of tips for exhibitors for our events.
Oh, awesome. I'd love to see that too. I think that's so important because we all know that the brand and content creator relationship is so vital, and especially at Vida VeganCon, it's like you're exposed to hundreds of influential vegans, and if you don't know what you're doing in terms of how to talk or present or this or that, you can like really screw things up.
Each event is its own unique opportunity. You wouldn't bother going to the events if they weren't opportunities, so you might as well make the best of it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll be watching your feed and just being super jealous. We're there with you in spirit. So have the best time for us.
I will.
But looking ahead to Vida VeganCon, we're so excited about your class. Making kick-ass YouTube videos. Obviously, we're so excited to have you for this class. Nobody else could teach this class. So thank you, and I'm sure everybody's really excited about it. What are people going to learn there? Can we talk more about your class and your plans for it?
Yeah. Well, the problem is that I have too much that I could teach. As you can see, I could talk for like hours about Expo alone, and YouTube is like even bigger in my book. So what I did is I put together a survey that people can fill out because I want to know what people want to hear about and what their level is, because I don't want to assume that people at a certain level. I mean, if I were to assume, based on my experience at Vida VeganCon in the past and with vegan content creators, I find that most people aren't on YouTube, or if they are on YouTube, they have like a couple videos and barely any subscribers or views. But it's a major social media network, if you want to call it that, and an opportunity to really get exposure and educate people. YouTube is the second biggest search engine, so if you're not on YouTube, you're really missing out on a ginormous experience. And I want to bust some myths around it. I want to make some things clear. I want to remove fears that people have, really give some advice that people can implement, some actionable steps everybody can take immediately so that they can get up on YouTube. And you could really get up on YouTube in a day. I mean, you could record a few videos in one day and have them scheduled out. You can implement some things that would have your channel all prepped and ready to go. And it really is needed. Now, then there are other things like I am really paying attention to what other people are creating on YouTube, and the overwhelming majority of people on YouTube are not using it correctly. And that's not just about vegans, but let's just talk about vegans, for instance. When I search for the word vegan, there'll be like, I would say, maybe 20 videos a day that are doing well, and then like all of the others, and there might be like hundreds or thousands, right, each day that have the word vegan in them, they'll literally have no views whatsoever, or they'll have 5 views, versus like 20 that'll have 1,000 or thousands, right? So what is the difference between somebody getting all those views and getting thousands of views? Those are the sort of things I want to talk about, because it's not just about getting on there. You don't just go on YouTube and expect fame. I mean, I've been working at YouTube for working at YouTube, meaning not working for the company, but working on it. I've been doing that for almost 7 years now, and it's for me so much work and so much strategy, and it's not a simple thing, but that really shouldn't discourage anybody, because just being there makes a huge difference. You can really impress people when they see that you have video content, and there are some really creative ways to be on there without, for example, if you have stage fright, camera shyness, whatever it is, you don't have to actually even show your face. A lot of people just shoot recipe videos without even showing themselves. It's just the food, and they do voiceovers, or they have great music, or they do creative things there. So I also want to take away those misconceptions that you have to be great on camera, or you have to like look a certain way, or talk a certain way, or this or that. You can get super creative with it and make beautiful content that's educational and inspirational and really supports your brand. And it can be all sorts of things. So I want to just get a gist of what people want and where they're at, and then really customize the class to them. And also invite so many people into it, too. I don't want anyone to walk away thinking that YouTube isn't for them. I would love the entire conference to be there, to be honest.
I think it is so enriching, and we want everyone who's watching to know that we'll be sending out Whitney's link to survey to fill out via email this week to our registered conference attendees. So if you haven't gotten a ticket yet, feel free to get one now, so you can have a voice in what this class is going to be about.
Awesome. Thank you for sending that out.
In terms of, well, thank you for doing it, Whitney. Well, in terms of YouTube, what are some other channels lately that are catching your eye?
Well, let's see. I'm starting to discover some newer channels, and what I'm really interested in right now are people that aren't necessarily doing vegan content throughout their brand but happen to be vegan. That's what's really exciting to me, is that there's a lot of really big YouTubers. So for example, I recently connected with Anthony Padilla, who is one of the co-stars of the channel Smosh, and Smosh is the 4th biggest YouTube channel, and Anthony is a very passionate vegan. He's been vegan for 2 years. He really promotes it, and it's outstanding to see someone of his YouTube caliber. I mean, I like to call him like the Brad Pitt of YouTube, because he's that big. He's like a name in the YouTube world, but unless you're in YouTube, you wouldn't know who he is. But he's this good-looking young guy who's just super funny and talented, and he's vegan and so committed to it. It's crazy. And now we've connected through friends, and it's just awesome to see that. And he'll sprinkle in the vegan content in his videos, and so he's influencing so many people. To put it in perspective, he has, I think, like 1.3-ish million followers on Instagram, and he tweeted out about Thug Kitchen and Colleen Patrick Goudreau recently, and I remember the Thug Kitchen, the last time I checked, that Instagram post had over 80,000 likes. So he's massively influential. For him to be talking about veganism as frequently as he does is phenomenal. And that type of stuff is really exciting me because it's showing how it's like a new way for vegan to go more mainstream, because these big YouTubers are incredibly influential. So whenever I see somebody that has like hundreds of thousands or over 1 million subscribers on YouTube and they're regularly talking about veganism, it's really, really exciting for me. So those are the people that I'm really focused on right now, and just kind of paying attention to what they're doing, and opportunities to reach their audience too, and because a lot of their audience are just fans of like whatever else they're doing, and then when they start talking about veganism, they're like, wait, what is this? Like, how do I do this? And that's exactly why other creators need to get on YouTube, because those people, their audience is now looking for other YouTube videos, and if you're not there, you're missing out on the opportunity to reach them too. So, I mean, I like a lot of the classic YouTube channels, plus I love some of the channels that people might not even know about, like Colleen Patrick Goudreau has a YouTube channel, and she's been building that, and it's phenomenal. If you love her podcast, you're really going to love her videos, and she now has this POV, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's not a separate channel, but it's like a separate playlist and type of theme for her videos, and she'll share like these few-minute long videos that are kind of similar to her podcast, and you get to see her talking about it, and it's awesome. I love Michelle from Vegan Break, Kobe from Vegetorials, Vegan Zombie. I mean, I could go on and on because I'm such a YouTube nerd. And maybe I'll talk about some of those more in depth in the class too.
Awesome. Well, we wanted to see, where else are you heading these days? We just got back from Austin earlier this month, and we're so excited to get back, and we're going to try and get back there in April for the Veg Fest. What's on your travel plan?
I think Austin might be my only major travel plan right now. I was thinking of going to South by Southwest because Kathy Patowski is having a Finding Vegan meetup there. I don't think that's going to work out, though, sadly. But that would have been like going to Austin twice in 1 year. Yeah, traveling isn't a massive part of what I do. I'm kind of a homebody because I work at my desk and shoot videos all the time, and there's so much going on in LA. I don't really need to leave, but usually I go home to Massachusetts once or twice a year. So I'll probably go back in the fall because I love going to Expo East out there too, and I go back for the holidays. But yeah, right now, no exciting travel plans except for, Austin's exciting. Nothing else outside of that is really set up yet.
Well, speaking of LA, do you have the street fair or the LA Vegan Beer Fest on your radar this year?
Yeah, of course. And the beer festival is going to be, or the food and beer festival is going to be at the Rose Bowl this year. So there's a lot of buzz. There always is a lot of buzz around that. It's such a well-produced event. It's really fun, and it's a really cool place to just hang out and connect with other people, and they get a lot of non-vegans going to it too, which is really cool. So that should be good. And then the street fair too is brand new, and I'm looking forward to checking that out.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of reaching out to non-vegans and new vegans, we've been talking a lot lately just about how fast veganism seems to be spreading. What are some of your favorite tips for new vegans or new people making the transition?
Well, my biggest tip right now is to advise people not to focus so much on perfectionism and being like 100% pure. That's been something that's really come up a lot this year especially, but I think ongoing is something I'm really sensitive to and aware of, is that there's a lot of criticism on other people. There's a lot of pressure on individuals, just like on ourselves. We can put a lot of pressure, and I feel like that could really be detrimental to being a successful vegan, because you can discourage other people from going vegan, and you can make it really hard on yourself too. And Colleen Patrick Goudreau really summarizes it well, and she has a great quote that I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm really dropping things now, but I'm really in love with Colleen's work through the 30-day vegan challenge. This is the old edition of her book, but she just put out the new edition, and it's just so gorgeous. And to me, that's like the guide for people that are looking to go vegan, because it just encompasses everything, and it gives people those easy little steps too. And the way Colleen talks is she takes off that pressure. She's like, you don't have. I think she starts off the book talking about how you don't have to be 100%, and it just opens people up. It makes it simple. It takes off any of that weight of like, am I going to do it right? Am I going to do it wrong? So I would definitely consider checking out that book. I actually have a book club, and this month her book is part of our book club, which is really exciting to just get other people to read it and talk about it. So I'm a huge fan of her work, as I think many people are. I remember when she spoke at the first Vida Vegan Con. I wasn't there, but I remember I could feel the buzz online from how big of an impact she had.
Oh, all the inspiration. Well, we know you're in LA these days. What are you excited about in terms of the community and activism and food scene that's going on there? And you say you have this book club. What else is buzzing that involves you?
Well, we have new vegan restaurants opening up pretty frequently, which is awesome. We have Olak, which just opened up their second location. They've had a one location in Fountain Valley, which is like in Orange County. And for years, that was one of my favorite restaurants, and so it's really cool to see that it's opening up in LA, and it's just downtown. It's beautiful, and there's a nightclub attached to it, so like you can go there, and like they actually have burlesque, they have comedy shows, they have musical acts, like all this stuff in a vegan restaurant. It's 100% vegan, and that is just such a cool place. It's my new favorite place to go. And actually, not too far from there is a similar place in a lot of ways called The Springs. It's kind of like a Cafe Gratitude type of a place. It's all raw vegan food, but beautiful, beautiful location. And insane desserts. It's on the pricier side, so it's kind of like a special occasion place, unless you want to spend like $20 for a raw food entree, but it's absolutely delicious. Then we have fromage, I should say.
Yeah.
Fromage, and that's the new vegan cheese shop, which is such a great place. The owner is the sweetest man, and he makes really cool creations there. So that is a must-see, and it's kind of just now starting to catch on, which is neat. We have Mushu's, which just opened up. So, of course, they have their New York City location, but their LA location opened up a few months ago, and that's been really exciting. So things are moving along here. We get a lot of cool things happening in LA. And, of course, all those festivals that we have, and the expo, which isn't exactly in LA, but near to it.
Well, let me ask you, speaking of, vegan food, of course, always back to the big question. What's the best vegan meal vegan meal. What's the best?
I thought this was going to be burrito versus taco.
No,
Okay.
I'm over it. What's the best vegan meal that you've had in the past week or two?
I haven't had anything that's really blown me away. I've also haven't been out that frequently. I've been to Olak a bunch, and so I've just kind of had a lot of the same food, so it wasn't quite as exciting as it was the first time. So I can't say in the past week or two that I've had anything like that mind-blowing. But a month ago, I did go to Millennium in San Francisco because I was in San Francisco when the news broke that they were closing down that location.
Aww.
And I literally almost cried because it's my all-time favorite restaurant. I was so devastated. Fortunately, they've assured everyone that they're going to open up another location. So it's just like a temporary thing that they're saying. I'm not going to believe it till it happens.
Right.
But I was devastated. So I had other plans to go somewhere else that night, and I scrapped everything and insisted that my friends and I go to Millennium because I was afraid it would be my last time there. And the food is outstanding. I mean, I've been to Millennium probably more than any other restaurant of that caliber, and it still blows me away every single time. I've never had a bad experience. I've never had a bad dish. I love their service. Like, that to me is like the be-all, end-all vegan restaurant, and I'm really, really hoping that there's nothing that gets in the way of them opening up there.
Just hope there'll be another incarnation. There'll be something beautiful that happens, right?
Yeah.
Well,
They say that they might, just move everything and they'll just keep the same name, same menu, like that. There's different things being heard and said, so we'll see.
Intriguing. We'll keep our ears to the ground. Well, let me ask you, what are your upcoming projects or appearances that you'd like us to know about that we can pass on?
Well, I'm always working on a bunch of different things. I'm doing a big project around YouTube. Last year in September, I did my YouTube course with Kobe from Vegetorials, and we're working on a bunch of other things around that. So nothing that we can talk about quite yet, but sometime early this, in the next hopefully few months, we'll launch that. We're working on an ebook about YouTube and more course material and some other projects there. So, YouTube is just such a big passion of mine and Kobe's. I mean, if people aren't familiar with Kobe's work, she's phenomenal in YouTube, but she's in a lot of ways more knowledgeable about YouTube than I am. So it's really amazing to partner with her on that. And I've also been really into business stuff right now. That's been a big passion of mine for a while, but last year I got really into just the entrepreneurial business side of things and wanting to really understand it for myself, but then I realized that I love helping other people. So last year in December, I launched something called Pick My Brain, which is a new business offering that I have. And so I teach these online courses, but they're more, actually I should call them more like workshops, and I customize them to the attendees. So people want to learn about YouTube, or they want to learn about just having a good blog, or making the most out of events, or all of these other things that I study, I now teach other people. And now that's turning into, I actually have a whole YouTube channel for that alone. It's called EVG Venture. So I haven't been updating it that much lately, but it's my business channel. And my next big project is that I'm going to be doing at least one podcast. It'll be my first one. So I'm going to start off with my business podcast, which is in development right now, and then I might be doing another one just around veganism. But the business podcast is aimed towards vegan entrepreneurs, and I really want to see vegans create awesome businesses, whether it's online or in person, and I think that's so important to our movement right now. But a lot of people don't have the skills, or they have lack of confidence, or they just don't know where to start, and there aren't enough business resources for vegans right now. So I want to be part of that change.
How exciting! Yeah, I mean, we're coming to you live from a social entrepreneurship co-working space, so we are on your page.
Right? I mean, I think also bringing more entrepreneurs, vegan entrepreneurs together is so important, and that's why I'm so thrilled about Vida Vegan Con. But I think that one issue I see is a lot of vegan bloggers don't look at it as a business. Like, most of the bloggers I know are doing it as a hobby. They have no idea how to make money. And if you're not making money from your blog, it is a hobby. It's not a business until you're making money on a regular basis. So a lot of people need help there, or inspiration and encouragement. So, Vida Vegan Con is great, and I think we need more things year round. Unless you guys want to have Vida Vegan Con like every weekend.
Right. We're working on different resources, always, the balance. Well, we do want to ask if you can remind everybody, where can they catch you online? Tell us the different avenues.
So everything is under Eco Vegan Gal. If you type Eco Vegan Gal on, you'll find me on Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, like all the social media networks. Eco Vegan Gal is the YouTube channel. I have a bunch of YouTube channels. I have that one. I have a channel called What a Vegan Eats, and those are my daily food vlogs. And I have a channel called Uncensored, which is like a personal opinion-based channel, and I have the Venture channel. So those are my 4 biggest channels, and I have a few others that I'm not working on at the moment. But if you type in Eco Vegan Gal, you'll find it, or ecovegangal.com houses everything that I do, my website, my newsletter there. So my ebooks are on the main website, of course, too.
Well, Whitney, you are a resource, you are a delight, and we thank you for taking the time to join us today. We learned so much from you, and we're so glad that you've joined the Vida Vegan family.
Me too.
Of course, you can catch us online at vidavegancon.com. We do have tickets available for both the conference and Friday's Vida Vegan Bazaar, both in Austin, Texas. So we'll see everybody online.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, have a great day.
Okay, you too.